Hey guys, we're doing something a little bit different today. I am on the subreddit for 7 Deadly Sins Origin, and I wanted to talk about this topic because it's about potentials and which units to actually pull. So if you're free to play or even a low spender, this video is going to be really important because I'll try to explain my best in understanding when to pull units, what units to pull, and what potentials to pull for. And hopefully this will be helpful when you're wondering how to go about summoning units. Really quickly, most of you guys watching are not subscribed, so I would appreciate it if you could help me reach 2,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. But let's actually talk about this. And also let me know if you want to see more of this kind of content where I go to the subreddit or maybe like Twitter and talk about different things, but I think it could be fun doing it once a week. So this person says, I'm a free-to-play who spent 19 multis to get Elizabeth to P6 because this subreddit told me that was a must. And I kind of feel for this guy, right? So 19 multis is 190 pulls, which is a lot. Like typically, if you're free to play, the most I would recommend is going for 120. And if you get lucky with that, you can get maybe potential 5, but 120 is enough to guarantee the potential 4 or just 1 copy. And if you get lucky after, then you can also have this reset to the guaranteed or rate up unit be guaranteed, right? So when Elizabeth goes away, this is going to be Gother, and I'll be able to get him in 74 summons. Also, let me make sure I convert this real quick for my sake. But yeah, I feel for this guy because I'm sure there's a lot of people, or even some of you guys watching, do come to YouTube. I get questions often. I'll go over that actually because I talked about this already, but you guys are asking what potential to get, whether or not you should get the unit. And for Elizabeth, I give a very specific answer. And so the comments like, why do you listen to others, make your own decisions, which is fair, I guess, but like a lot of people are busy. Like I'm sure most of you guys watching have like jobs and families and whatnot. And you don't have the time to go in there and like test everything. So you just need an advice, but don't worry, she's broken as fuck. But potential 6 is okay. I mean, you go to potential 7 or 9 or 10. Not 9, potential 6, 7, and 10. If you're not potential 4, but we have some people that got lucky. I got her on the first 10 pull. P6 worth it, or stay at P4. I would say stay at P4, but like he said, all I know for sure, this is the guy that posted the picture, that I can't invest on this banner anymore. I mean, he's broke, so yeah. But let's take a look at this video and what I said, okay? Let's listen. Really quickly, I'll put on some subtitles. So here's what I said. The reason you don't want to summon for Elizabeth is because this time around, they actually started giving us kit details for the characters. So remember last time, or before, that's cute, didn't. But anyway, and then I go after here, I think I said something about Gother's kit. But yeah, because we got this right here, with what Elizabeth does, we were going to get Gother's before the actual update drops. And if I even go to the comments of the video, you have P4 enough, I mean 10%, all defense looks crazy, and I said P4, P7, and P10 are all the big ones, but P4 is enough. And you can see this comment is not edited. If it was edited, it would say edited. And even in my pinned comment, I said, let's see Gother's kit before you decide. Now, there's no doubt that Elizabeth is an extremely good unit, and having her copy just once is enough because of just how much healing you can get as well, right? So you have some raid pieces thrown on there, not this one, but you have the raid boots, the necklace, and the chest, and that gives you an insane amount of defense. I also have the wrong set going on here, but with that, she is basically the best healer in the game, and then you have some debuffs going on. So again, she's a very good unit, but with this recent change where we get the kits now beforehand, unlike before we didn't know that what a unit was going to do, this makes it so if you're a regular free-to-play player, there's no reason, almost no reason, to summon for a unit when they drop, no matter what anybody says. Like, let's say you're happy with your Tiore, right? You almost kind of don't need Elizabeth. Again, she has some debuffs and buffs going on in there, of course, of different elements, but if you're looking for a healer, Tiore does get the job done. It's just not as good. But turns out Gother's kit gives you crit rate, which I'll talk about in a second. You would much rather have that than some healing or even a burst, because for Earth, you have Gauntlet Deanne, who's a burst and a healer, so you don't necessarily need Elizabeth's. And then Wind is good, of course, but you have Daisy on Wind, also a good support. So you can kind of see how Elizabeth is not a must summon, even though she's very good. But Lightning, or not just Lightning, but Merlin is a different case. You have a better burst than Gila, you have the strongest Lightning DPS, and then you have the strongest Ice DPS, which does make her basically a must summon. But there are certain things in this game that we don't have right now, mainly speaking, crit chance buffs. So we have some elemental buffs now, but like Clotho and Elizabeth, they increase your elemental attack, which you then multiply some units give you elemental damage, but the thing that's very rare right now is having a crit chance buff. So especially for units like Escanor, Merlin's a bad example because you can buff her crit rate, but Escanor does not have a way to increase his crit chance. But if you got a unit, let's say Gother in his kit does give you crit chance, then you would want him, let's say plus 20%. That's already pretty insane, which I don't think it's going to be Gother. It's going to be another unit who gives you crit chance, and you would want to get that unit because we have Daisy for crit damage and lowering enemy crit defense, which directly kind of increases your crit damage even more. And then another stat we don't see that often, but we just did with Elizabeth, is attack percent increase. So she increases your attack amount over here, not the percentage, but I'm assuming in the future we'll have units that can just do that as a skill. So let's say Merlin, there's a unit that increases your attack by 5 to 10% of what you have, which is not as big as Elizabeth's because she's giving you like 4,000 attack. But even if you have attack increase here or the attack value goes up, that will be its own unit. And you would want to pick that unit up compared to, going all the way to potential 10 for Elizabeth. Again, very good, one of the best potentials in the game, but you're still spending a lot of money to get that potential. Now in the future, what you want to do is pick those kinds of units up that are more so buffers than than DPSs, because you have Escanor, who's a very good fire DPS, you have Merlin for ice and lightning, you have Clotho for wind, you have King for holy, you have Daisy for earth, you have Deanne for earth. So like basically everybody you have right now is going to be covered on DPS, but where you're not going to be covered in is different types of buffs and debuffs. So there's only so many stats in the game, but we'll also probably get a unit that comes with defense shadow resistance lowered in their engrave or their skill. So how right now in potential 10 Daisy decreases enemies shadow resistance by 15%. This is going to be in someone's kit in the near future, where you lower enemies' shadow resistance by 10 to 15%. Again, you would want to pick that unit up compared to P10ing Daisy. Now, obviously, some potentials are going to be very good. Sometimes you do want to go to 5. If you get lucky, you go to 6, or you buy the 6th and 7th one, which I'll probably do for Bon. But that's specifically the reason why I made this video, because with the kits coming out now, you know when to wait. And if you notice that you can't clear content for whatever reason without a better healer like Clotho or Tiori is just not doing it for you, then you're like, okay, I do have to get Elizabeth. But as a free-to-play, you should not be summoning units right off the bat. If you get in early, like let's say here, if you got a unit early, let's say within the first 30 to 40 pulls, you should not be getting, especially past 40. If you get a unit in the first 40 out of 120, and they're not a mandatory P5 unit, you should not be going to 120. Like you'll probably P6 by 120 because of the 80 from here and then 120 from here, and you can buy the P7. But I am of the opinion that unless it's a DPS, you should not be going for high potentials because Merlin's potentials do change how she plays on the lightning and electric and all that stuff, even the fire. You burst easier, but like Daisy, P4 is good enough because you'll lose out on some crit damage, but this engrave set is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Same thing with Clotho, P4 is good enough. This is giving you the crit chance and crit damage, doing the skill cooldown reset. So a lot of units, their engrave set's already more valuable than their potentials, right? So this lowers the enemy crit defense, while this one reduces the crit resistance, and then his kit reduces crit defense right here. But I think you get the point. So this is what the upcoming lineup looks like for the future units. And you have Gother after Elizabeth, so he's coming right after. And then after that, it's probably going to be Derriere. If you have Meliodas potential 9, I'm going to call it right now that you could probably just skip Derriere. Unless you like her design, I would recommend just skip her. And I'm just guessing right now, but that's how it's going to be. Bon is going to be a must-pull unit. He's the 6th month anniversary unit, and he's going to be our first main physical unit. So Bon is going to be one of those units you want to get potential 7 or potential 10, even if you can get it as a free-to-play. Buy the dupes from the shop. Kala, I'm not sure. We have SD and Kala are OCs, and then you have Lancelot. Depends if this is a kid Lancelot, he's not going to be a must pull. But if it's an older Lancelot, then I think he'll also be a must pull. So who knows what they're going to do with the OCs, but you have to really analyze your account to see what you actually need. So if I go to potential 5, I didn't really need it, but I was super close to getting it, so I just took it anyway. But the attack skill increases the damage taken of enemies by 10% every second. and then increases magic charging efficiency by 20%. So it's good, but it's not mandatory. P4 is good enough. Same thing here, decreases magic consumption by 10%. Good, not mandatory. And like I said in this Elizabeth build video, I said E4 Earth is good enough. You don't have to do any more. But if you haven't watched these videos, go watch it. Might help you. But yeah, again, any DPS units, especially because they're the most prone to getting power crept, I would really suggest against pulling as duplicate. So Meliodas, if Derriere is all darkness and she's a DPS, maybe she could have a support role in there, but Meliodas is all DPS, right? Again, Merlin, Ice, and Lightning, she has it covered, so you shouldn't really pull another unit of the same element that's a DPS for a long time. Daisy has Earth covered again. As you understand this, what is your account lacking specifically, right? Is it lacking a healer? Is it lacking a buffer or a debuffer or a burster? One unit I would really recommend you pick up. This is me speculating, but one of these units, Kala, Lancelot, or Estia, they're going to be a very important wind unit, okay? I don't think Derriere or Bon are going to have anything wind, but between these three, there's going to be one of them that's a very important wind unit. Whether they're a burst or a buffer or a burst and a healer, kind of like Deanne, that unit is probably going to be one of the most important ones you can pick up for a stable wind team, because right now you end up having to run Tristan because there's no other way to trigger a burst. If you haven't thought about this, I would appreciate it if you could like the video. That would really help. But right now, there isn't a way to trigger Wind Burst with your main team. So if you're using Elizabeth, Clotho, and Daisy, you can't use Hauser because they don't have any combined ultimates. So you have to use Tristan to do the burst. And he's kind of a waste. He's not a bad unit at all, right? You have wind damage increased by 15%. You have allied normal attack damage increased by 20%. But that's kind of it, right? So if we get a unit that's a SSR and wind burster and a healer, he's getting the boot. And especially if they can do combined ultimates like with the units I said earlier, Daisy, Elizabeth, or Clotho. And if they even have buffs on top of that, right? Increases crit chance, increases crit damage, attack, whatever, then you're really going to want that unit to have a very long-term stable wind unit or wind team, because right now without that you can't do the Tyrannus raid. You can if you're potential 10, but even then you're going to struggle because you have no healing again. You would have to use potions and stuff, but that's the kind of outlook I want you guys to have. Don't just go rushing in to pull every unit when they drop. Let it play out a little bit, see if they are something that you really need. If not, then if you're free to play again or low spender, consider skipping them for a unit that's going to benefit your account more. So if you want to see me do more Reddit stuff or tweets and stuff, let me know, I'll do that. That way we can see what's happening in here because, you know, most of you guys are probably just on YouTube. The sub told me that this game is not free to play friendly, so I left. But yeah, I'll kind of agree that generally this game is pretty free to play friendly if you're not trying to go for the leaderboards or speedrunning. So let me know your thoughts. If you learned something, again, consider subscribing. If you're curious to see what my account looks like, it's this video here. I'm putting it up on the screen now. I would appreciate it if you can go watch that video and leave a like as well. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.